Oh, hey, Chronic.
Yeah.
Hey, brother. How are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent.
Just get ready to talk about Iona. Rick Pitino's Iona team beat Alabama. Alabama beat Gonzaga last night.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's a mixed up, messed up, jumbled up world right now, and you gotta love it. It's the best part about college basketball.
Yeah,
it is. I see. That's the thing about college football that you don't get. I love this. I love those mixed. It's like, oh man.
How about? I got a good one here. Okay, 0-7 Texas Southern beat 20th ranked Florida 69-54 by 15. Previous worst record by any team that defeated an AP ranked opponent was 0-3 Louisville in 1980.
Wow.
Crazy. Shout out Metro Conference.
Yeah, look at Chronic throwing out some old school. Heck yeah, man. Metro. Man, those were the days. The Metro Conference.
Yep.
I can't even remember who I was in. Louisville, Cincinnati, and Memphis were the three stalwarts of that league. Those were some great rivalries there.
I'll tell you what, man, the Metro, when you look back, it was the world's greatest incubator for corrupt programs.
Memphis in there back in the day or no?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Louisville and Memphis were like the two head-to-headers. Absolutely.
All they were missing was SMU, and they'd have the Thanos of corrupt programs.
Keith Lee and Memphis, they were the only team other than the three Big East teams that made the Final Four that year in '85, St. John's, Villanova, Syracuse, or St. John's, Villanova, Georgetown.
I think so. Chronic, how's it going with you, brother?
It's going, man. It is going. It's officially winter, man. It's cold outside right now. It's that weird period where we still got some kids left here for another week and a half, I guess, before winter break sets in. And, you talk about weird things in college basketball and how quirky it can be. This is the witching season right now. I mean, it's where you see things like what you were just talking about. It's those games that sneak up and just jump on teams. And, everybody's got to be prepared to go out there for 40 minutes every night. And now you got this weird twist with the Big Ten in full, starting early, kind of dip our toes in it here for a couple of games before we finish out the cupcake season, at least for IU. It's one of those. I was just talking with some folks over the last week. It's that time of year where you got to watch yourself because losses like we're seeing, especially when you've got perhaps a suspect strength of schedule. Can be hugely consequential come Selection Sunday. Hopefully IU is able to survive Syracuse. IU fans need to root like hell for Syracuse for the remainder of the season to pull that SOS up, to get themselves in the tournament so that loss doesn't look as bad as what it perhaps could. But just highlights the importance of every night coming out and giving your best because you never know. You never know, and we've seen it plenty of times in Assembly Hall. I thought we were going to see it again here, where you let a team just go off, and if you don't get your stuff together, man, not only does that sting in the short term, but those things can come back and bite you in the end. So, looks like they figured it out at halftime. Now, if they kind of like the women's team, honestly, they need to figure out how to get that mojo going in the first half.
Absolutely. On the football side of things, a lot of things are changing. Ross put this up. This is kind of a Texas offensive lineman on scholarship. Each will get, I heard this yesterday, each will get $50,000 through NIL. Each offensive lineman is getting $50,000 through the NIL at Texas. That's a system that's going to be hard to beat for teams. Now, that's what they're going to have to do to compete in the SEC. But you look at teams like Indiana, and it's going to be really difficult to compete if you have teams in your league like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State that are more successful. If they're able to do that, man, that's going to start leaving some teams behind within big conferences.
Yeah, this is the arms race of the future for sure right now, and it's certainly concerning when you're looking from IU's perspective. The curious case of a school that's willing to drive an armored truck up to Brad Stevens' house and give him a blank check to come here. And, then we start pulling out the coupon books when it comes time to paying the football staff. So, if the boosters aren't willing to pony up for the coaches, we'll see how IU's able to compete when it comes to landing the talent that's going to be looking for those deals, looking for those checks. But it's a terrifying prospect that it's just going to be a straight cash grab. And people have accused the sport of becoming that, albeit under the table for years, if not decades now. But this is all being done on top of the table now. This is being done in plain sight where, the boosters that previously had to employ the bagmen, now they get to stand next to those recruits with those jumbo checks in hand and put their name on that purchase. So we'll see what the future holds for smaller schools like Indiana when it comes to the college football landscape. But it's a brave new world ahead. And go get that bag while you can for anybody that's in the mix. But it'll be real curious to see how the next decade looks after these trends really entrench themselves in the sport.
Chronic, I find it interesting that boosters paid Archie's $10.1 million buyout, and Tom Allen had to take Nick Sheridan's buyout out of his own salary, $600,000.
$800.
Yeah.
I tell my kids all the time, your decisions have consequences, and you're going to get stuck paying for those. Love them or hate them. That's just the way the world works. It's kind of rare to see it done that way. I would love to get the relevant parties on record and explain how that was decided. I doubt we ever will, but I'm sure those were some fascinating discussions that led to that ultimate choice. But at the end of the day, too, man, I mean, come on, how much did that man win or make for 2 wins this season? He can afford it.
Yeah. Great comment. I forgot Florida State was in the Metro. How about that? I forgot about that.
Break out to Google now.
I forgot about that. I was like, daggone. Yeah, there was some because the Metro Conference, we're going back and forth, but the Metro Conference was not viewed as a great conference back then. But man, it had some big teams in it. But yeah, the arms race is continuing. Indiana is at a crux right now because forget the arms race. They're just trying to get their own house in order right now with coaches, with recruits, and all of that. So that makes it even more difficult when you're trying to get your own house in order while everyone else is basically building on to what they already have.
Yeah, and this is a wild year for sure with the coaching carousel, with so many big jobs opening up and just the seismic impacts those shifts will have across the college landscape. I said it last week. I'll continue to say it. I'm going to continue to have confidence in Tom Allen. He has previously built a really, really potent staff. It's not so much hiring, it's retaining right now. You can make a very solid argument that perhaps he swung and missed on Sheridan, at least as OC. I'm gonna hold my tongue for a little bit until proven otherwise. I am really curious. Talking with Galen Clavio, Dr. GC yesterday, they've got a pod coming out where they did a deep dive on this. So I'm anxiously awaiting a listen to that later today and perhaps color some of those opinions in a little bit. But at the end of the day, the proof's going to be in the pudding. This is really easy to judge success in this sport. Everything's measured, everything's counted, everything goes up on the scoreboard. And at the end of the day, I'm less concerned about the splashiness of the name as I am just the results that it produces. So it's going to be a while before we get to see those results, and we're going to get some early feedback based off what you see from recruits and current players. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But, let's make no bones about it. This is a hire that the football staff absolutely cannot afford to miss on because with a lot of the talent coming back on defense, and they've got to find their way as well. I think, getting off the field a little bit more is going to do them some favors. But at the end of the day, they got to figure out a way to score some points, and they're going to have to do it in relatively short order before next season starts.
I think with the defense, the dramatic drop in takeaways was concerning, and maybe not having Tywan Mullen and some other guys in the secondary that were banged up all season. Reese Taylor had something to do with that, but only 9 turnovers forced after they were in the 20s last year in less games. I think that was a big factor too in IU's demise.
Yeah, and it's those game-changing plays. Big time players got to make big time plays. Takeaways are absolutely huge, but sometimes it's just as simple as a third down stop. Getting the quarterback in the dirt, and Micah McFadden continued to shine on the defense. I'm kind of waiting with bated breath to see what his decision is going forward. But right now, I can't imagine that kid stock getting a whole lot higher when it comes to his draft prospects, just because he's been about the one consistent thing on this defense for the last 2 years. But that too could leave a massive hole right in the heart of the defense from your defensive leader that they may have to account for. So lots of stuff, lots of high risk, high reward in this offseason for the football.